A young monk came to a Zen master and asked, "Master, what is the sound of one hand clapping?" The master thought for a moment, then said, "Go and find out." The monk went away and thought about the question for many days. He tried clapping one hand, but it made no sound. He tried clapping his hands together, but that made two sounds. He tried clapping his hands in different ways, but he could not make the sound of one hand clapping. Finally, the monk returned to the master and said, "Master, I cannot find the sound of one hand clapping." The master smiled and said, "You have already found it." The monk was puzzled. "But I did not hear any sound," he said. "That is because the sound of one hand clapping is silence," said the master. "It is the sound of emptiness." The monk was still puzzled, but he knew that the master was right. He had been so focused on trying to find the sound of one hand clapping that he had forgotten to listen to the silence. The monk went away and reflected on the master's words. He realized that the sound of one hand clapping is not a physical sound, but a mental sound. It is the sound of the mind that is still and empty. The monk continued to practice Zen, and he eventually came to understand the sound of one hand clapping. He realized that it is the sound of enlightenment, the sound of the mind that has been freed from all attachments. The story of the sound of one hand clapping is a powerful Zen parable that teaches us about the nature of silence and emptiness. It reminds us that the most important sounds are often the ones that we cannot hear. The meaning of the story. The story of the sound of one hand clapping has a number of different meanings. On one level, it is a simple riddle about the nature of sound. On another level, it is a metaphor for the Zen experience of enlightenment. The sound of one hand clapping is a sound that cannot be heard. It is the sound of silence, the sound of emptiness. This is the sound that the Zen practitioner seeks to hear, the sound that represents the state of enlightenment. The story of the sound of one hand clapping also teaches us about the importance of silence. In our busy and noisy world, it is easy to forget the importance of silence. But silence is essential for our spiritual well-being. It is in silence that we can hear the voice of our true self, the voice of our intuition. The next time you are feeling stressed or overwhelmed, take some time to sit in silence. Listen to the sound of your breath, the sound of your heart beating. Listen to the silence. In the silence, you may find the answers that you are looking for.